Hello everyone, my name is Gajendra Sharma and I am an assistant professor of English in Bareilly College, Bareilly. Today I am going to discuss something about observation writing. This is a topic in BA second year language paper. So let us first understand what observation writing is. Actually, you as a writer, you visit some place, you visit some locality, or you have certain kind of experience using your own senses. Whether you touch something, you hear something, you smell something, you notice something. So you have a unique sense of observation. You are expected to write something about it. This kind of writing is observation writing. When you observe the thing and when you let your readers observe the thing from your point of view. So this is not an easy task for a writer. He has to be so engaging, so involving in his observation and then writing his observation that the reader feels equally engaged. Reader feels equally involved in this writing. He feels as if he were looking the things, seeing the things, smelling the things or touching the things himself. So your observation writing should be so lively, so lifelike. You need to be very cautious about these things because you have to create or recreate the image of your own experience in the mind of the reader. Reader has missed something. He lacks this kind of power or this kind of observation, and as such he goes to read something about that thing. So your detailing, your describing the thing should be so lifelike. He feels engaged. He feels involved and he feels that he has himself felt. He has himself watched. He has himself visited the place if it is a place. He has smelt the things if it is a kind of some smelling thing. So your observation lets the reader experience or feel the same thing and simply with your words. So your task is multifold. Your task is very much important as a writer. This kind of writing is observation writing. See, this task is not so easy. So writer has to take care certain steps, certain points very carefully. The first thing that is to choose a topic. What kind of topic a writer should use? Actually, what is needed from a writer that he should be physically present. He should have felt or experienced the thing himself using his unique sense of observation. And then he is expected to write down the things, take notes of the thing. And then he analyzes those notes and then he comes to the conclusion that this should be given this kind of topic. So topic should be given afterwards you have had your experience, you have had your observation. And now that what kind of topic should be given? So topic should be so commonplace. Commonplace means it should be so common that the reader is able to connect himself. If the title or the topic is obsolete, old-fashioned or highly modern or so unfamiliar that he will feel distracted. The reader would like to read something that he feels attached himself. He feels personally engaged. So your topic should be familiar. You should have to write the things or you should have to devise a topic from a reader's point of view, not using your own writing skills. You can write something for your own self, but while you are writing something for the reader, and particularly this kind of difficult writing, so you have to use the topic very judiciously. After finalizing your topic, your next task is to use the kind of tense in which the details have to be described or communicated to the reader. The tense should be such that the reader feels that he is a part of that details. He is the part of that observation. He is the part of that description. So the important thing is the tense. Now we have two options, whether we have to write something in past as we have observed, we have already observed, or you have to write something in present. So we as a reader, we as a reader expect something that we are a part of. We read something in which we also feel that we are a part of this description. So in that sense, the present tense comes to our rescue. If we use something, if we describe something in present tense, so we as a reader feel that we are a part of this progression. We are a part of this description, and the things are taking place. Right now the things are taking place. If you are describing some place, some person or some locality, so reader feels that he is looking the things himself. He is observing the things himself. He is experiencing the thing himself. Second advantage of this is the less chance of committing error. We are talking about grammatical errors. When we take past tense for our description, so we slight mistake, slight variation, slight miss from our part will certainly spoil or destroy our whole writing. If our writing is faulty or grammatically incorrect, imperfect, so this gives a negative impression in the mind of the readers. So we don't have to take that chance. We simply go for this present tense, in which there is less chance of committing errors, that too grammatical errors. So writing something in present has twofold advantage, twofold benefits. First, the reader will feel himself engaged. He will feel that he is a part of this progression and there is no grammatical error. So any description that is grammatically sound, because we are exposed to all kinds of readers who are well versed in the language, well versed in the grammar. So we as a writer need to be very perfect from this linguistic point of view, language point of view, for which our grammar should be importantly perfect. So for this you are expected to write something in present. Now next thing is the kind of language. The kind of language that you have to use. Actually, observation is not restricted to any kind of particular topic. You may write something after observing some newly launched gadget, electronic gadget or a vehicle, motorbike, car, or you are expected to write something about some place you have visited, some person you have met, or something, some edible or eatables. So your all senses are required to be present, to be vigilant at the time of observation. For different kind of writing, you need a different kind of vocabulary. All the spheres of life, they have certain different kind of vocabulary. So our vocabulary, our uses of words should be appropriate first time. They should be commonplace, appropriate first time, and then commonplace. The words which are commonplace, the words which are almost in everybody's vocabulary. If you use certain obsolete words, if you use some certain unfamiliar words, hi-fi bombastic words, so they will distract the attention of the reader. If the reader is not able to understand what you are writing about or your words, the choice of words, so he will not going to read your entire passage. Your labor is spoiled, for which you need to be very specific about the choice of words. The words should not be, they should be unambiguous. They should not make your description ambiguous. The words, because what we have, as a reader, what we have before us, they are words. If the words are ambiguous, if the things are not communicated in a clear, lucid words, so our labor is spoiled. So you need to be very careful about the uses or the choice of words. The appropriate words you have to use. Whether it is commonplace, so commonplace, that does not count. Because all that counts is your overall impression or the comprehensibility of your write-up. If most of the people or many people are able to read or understand your writing, that is a success. If you're writing something very difficult, in a difficult vocabulary, in a difficult sentence structure, so very few people will be able to understand. So your task as a writer is not fulfilled that way. Next thing, your choice of words should be according to the sphere, according to the subject. If you are using something, suppose you have to write something about a newly launched phone. So your vocabulary should be directed towards that electronic gadget. The kind of terminology, the original terminology you have to use. You cannot paraphrase the things. You cannot translate the things. You have to use the same kind of vocabulary that is used in that particular or technical language. So that will give you authenticity of your description. If you use some unfamiliar object or the same kind of language for every observation of your place, observation of your character, observation of your gadget or car or vehicle, so this language will not do. You have to use the same kind of language from the same sphere, same profession, same walk of life. If you're describing something that is electronic, so you have to choose the words from electronic area. If you are using something, means you are describing some place, so you have to use a commonplace language. So your language plays a very vital role in your in the comprehensibility of your observation writing. Next important thing is the usage of comparisons, analogy and similes. So if you use comparisons, analogy or similes, by these tools you can make your description lifelike or vivid in the minds of reader. Actually what these things were, the tools, analogy, you can understand that when we compare two different concepts, to different objects or to different concepts, so this is analogy. Or when we are comparing two dissimilar objects on certain points, that is simile. So here the use of similes or analogies or comparisons gives the clear image in the minds of the people. If you are describing something and if you compare this thing with the things that is known, that is familiar to the reader, it will give you, it will lead the reader to have a vivid, a clear image of the thing. If you are simply describing the thing, so certain way the reader will feel unfamiliar. So in order to make him familiar with the object, with the experience, the kind of experience, particularly if you are describing your own experience using your own senses, so you have to use the examples, you have to use the comparisons which are in the mind of the reader, through which they can connect themselves, connect their own experiences with those. So they will enhance their visibility, they will enhance their clarity of the observation. The reader will feel connected, reader will feel familiar with the objects. Suppose you have to describe the experience of skydiving. You have to describe the feeling when the person dives. What kind of feeling? For this you can use the comparison, and comparison, the local comparison. You can use the experience which everybody must have had in local fairs. जो हम मेले में जाते हैं तो certainly we must have sat on roller coaster, जो बड़ा वाला झूला होता है. So the kind of feeling we can compare when we come down from this roller coaster and we feel something tickling in our stomach. The same kind of feeling a skydiver must have had. So using comparison, analogies will certainly enhance your description. It will give your lucid description, clear description in the mind of reader. The other important thing that will make you a perfect writer of observation writing is to describe the absences. Actually, most of the time we describe something that is present, and something that is present to everybody's observation. Where as a writer is our expertise. If we are so much expert writer of observation writing, and if we are writing something commonplace that is exposed to everybody's observation, so where lies our expertise? We as a writer, we as a competent writer need to be very cautious, very vigilant, very observant about describing our absences. A good writer is the one who describes even what is absent, what is neglected, what is avoided by the common onlookers, common observers. So you have to see the things which are invisible to everybody's eyes. In order to understand this concept, we can take the example of a bride. For a commonplace writer, he describes that the bride is dressed in beautiful lehenga. The henna is on her palms, the bangles on her wrist, and she is looking gorgeous, she is looking beautiful. And then the description is focused on her beauty, on the ornaments, on the dress, and the kind of aura she has at that time. But the writer may have missed something. If a competent writer, if a vigilant writer, if a true observant writer, he writes something and you notice the absences. Absences means you have described something that is outward, but you are able to describe the gesture on her face, gestures which are missing from everybody's gaze, everybody's observation. So you are a competent writer. Besides describing the dress, the beauty, or the grace of that bride, if you are able to describe the sadness on her face, the very tinge of sadness in her eyes, you are the best of observant writers. So if you describe the kind of sadness when the bride has, the sadness which a bride has about leaving her own house, about venturing in a kind of life she is perhaps unfamiliar, about the uncertainties of her forthcoming life. So if we are able to understand that sadness in her eyes and describe while writing, we are competent writer of observation writing. So as a writer, we need to focus, we need to observe the absences, need to observe the things which are absent in commonplace gazers, commonplace observers. So our task as an observer justifies only when we notice something that is hidden from everybody. Other important thing the writer can use quite profusely in his writing or in his observation, that is the use of senses. A good writer is expected to use all his senses, describe the things or details the thing using all his senses. If we are describing something and then we use all our senses means if you hear the thing, if you listen to the thing, if you touch the thing, if you smell the thing, if you feel the thing, so you can give a more vivid impression in the minds of the reader. If you can just enlive in the thing, if you are able to see it, observe it using all your senses. So while describing some event or suppose some function, so your all senses can work together, and that will give your writing a lively experience. The reader, while reading your write-up, will feel as if he is present in that function. He is tasting the edibles that are being prepared. He can smell the aura, the fragrance of the surroundings. He can look the beauty and the grace of that occasion, the decoration perhaps. And then he can also be able to understand the details, the minute details that you have given life into. So your using all your senses will give certain life to the experience. Your experience will not be simply read by the readers, it will be felt, it will be experienced. This will be accomplished only when you you observe in that way. Observe that way and then write that way. For this purpose, your all senses, whether your sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of means listening, sense of hearing, sense of speaking, every sense is used in that observation. So that will give the perfect kind of observation in the minds of reader. Next important thing is the point of view. Point of view can be subjective or objective. You have to choose which points of view or which point of view suits your description. The kind of description will tell you what kind of approach, what kind of point of view you have to select. If you are telling something about some place, some hill station or some kind of visiting place, so your subjective approach and second is objective approach. Subjective means you are the engaging entity in the experience. Your personal point of view. The things are being described by you using your personal interest, using your personal approach. You are describing the thing from your own sense, your own approach. And objective approach means you are simply an observer. You don't have to feel it, you don't have to see it, you don't have to engage yourself in that experience. So all kinds of writings and all kinds of observation require different points of view. If you are writing something about some electronic thing or some technical thing, so your scientific approach will do the task. If you are writing about some person or some religion, so your objective writing should be preferable, because biased subjective writing can also have one disadvantage, that is you're getting biased. You should not you should not be felt by the reader as a biased writer. The reader, because all kinds of reader, there will be all kinds of reader pertaining to different class, different creed, different nationality, different caste, different color, different gender. So all kinds of reader will be able to observe or read your observation. So you should not feel, you should not sense to be biased writer, for which you have to very judiciously choose the point of view. Where this is a very delicate issue which you have to choose. If you are writing something, some sensitive issue, your observation is about some sensitive issue and you are using your personal point of view, so certainly in certain way you can get biased, partial, and if you are partial, so you will not be liked by the readers. Or universality of readers, all the readers will not be able to like you, for which you need to select your approach, your points of view. If you are writing something about book critical appreciation perhaps, so your observation should be that of a critic, not as a reader, not as a writer. You should look at the things, you should see at the things from a critic's point of view. You have to see, you have to say bad to bad and good to good. You should be able to appreciate what are worth appreciating, and you should be able to condemn, denounce if there are certain demerits. You should not feel hesitant. If you feel hesitant, then this will give the impression that you are personally attached to the writer or to the director or to the actor. That's why you have some soft corner about the thing, and you are not judging the things judiciously. For these things, your point of view is very much important. If you are telling some story and you are telling this story from a grandchild's point of view, so reader will not feel connected to this, because when we listen to the stories, we have certain image in our mind that our grandparents, grandfather, grandmother, they tell the story, or our elders tell the story. So if you tell the story from their point of view, if you tell the story from a grandparent's point of view, so you as a reader feel the grandchildren. You feel that you are the grandchildren, and then you are listening to the story. You are getting means lulled by this story. You engage yourself in that story. So choosing a point of view is very much important for this writing, for this kind of writing. The last thing, actually there are many points which a writer needs to consider, but for this lecture the very last thing that a writer should keep in mind is focusing. Your focus is of paramount importance while describing something. You should focus on the details you have taken the consideration or account yourself with. If you are deviating from the topic, you have started something and then you have deviated to some other details which are not important. So reader will not be hooked, reader will not be engaged in your writing. Your writing will be purposeless. So focusing your attention on the details will just hook the attention of the readers. You should exclude what is unnecessary. You should include only what is important and what is related to the topic, what is all around about the topic. Everything you describe, every word you use, every kind of comparison you use should enhance or should contribute to your title, to your topic. Because if you are describing some phone and then you have deviated to describing a television, so your writing is purposeless. If you are describing the mechanism of a bike and you have deviated to the mechanism of a car, so you are purposeless. So focusing on the topic you have taken into consideration for writing, your focus is of important consideration. You should not deviate, you should not include unnecessary events or unnecessary details or using unnecessary words, and you should not bore your readers, because this is not a kind of fiction or epical kind of reading or writing in which the digressions are acceptable. Here it is a short, the writing has a short span. It is basically a 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages or 1 page sometimes. So your attention should be focused so that you are able to capture the attention of the reader themselves. So that is all for now. Hopefully this video has added something to your existing knowledge of observation writing. Hopefully this teaches you how to write a successful write-up on observation and how to observe the thing as a writer. And we will come back yet in another video or taking yet another topic very soon. Till then, take care, keep learning, stay motivated. Thanks for watching.